Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll show you a horror thriller film, Vacancy. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. After the death of their lovely son, the complaining couple, David and Amy, set out on their last road trip before divorce. Their car gets a malfunction halfway. Luckily they find an attendant in a gas station and have it fixed. But shortly after, it collapses down totally. Trapped in the dark wilderness and losing their way, the couple have to walk back and seek help. As soon as they arrive at a roadside motel, they hear piercing screams. Frightened, Amy wants to leave immediately, but David presses the reception bell. The motel manager appears with a TV remote control to ensure them the noises are coming from a horror movie he's watching. They check in a shabby and dusty room. Seeing rusty water running from the tap, the couple decide to rest without washing up. At this moment, the telephone rings. Amy picks it up, but no one speaks. Right after that, someone knocks on their door. David opens the door, but no one is there. As they wonder why, the phone rings again. It is another anonymous phone call. A loud banging on the adjacent door occurs. Thinking that might be a prank from their neighbor, David goes to the adjacent door, knocks on it, and raises his voice to warn the tenant. While he is venting out his anger, the banging sound becomes even louder. David storms into the office, complains to manager about what happened, but is told they are the only guests at the motel. Possibly homeless people sneak into the motel to stir up such troubles. Manager assures David that he will take care of it. Back in the room, the banging on their door finally ends. But never ending is Amy's anxiety and fear. She reinforces that they should leave. David disagrees, for he wants to get some rest after long hours of driving. Then, David begins to watch videotapes that are left on top of their room's TV. The grade Z slasher movie shows a couple being cruelly murdered by two masked killers. Soon, David and Amy realize the movies are made in the very same room they occupy. The layout and setting are exactly the same. Even the bed and curtains are identical. David quickly plays another videotape. The same background appears, but the victims change to another couple. This sends a chill down their spine. Through a careful search, David discovers many hidden cameras in various corners. This proves snuff films are made in the room they are sitting in. Right now, they are monitored. They might be the next victims in this nasty motel. The couple recall the attendant at the gas station, who offered to fix their car. He might be an accomplice as well. This explains why their car stopped halfway. Amy tries to dial 911 with her mobile phone. As the reception is poor, she tries it again, but to no avail. At the same time, the lights in their room start to flicker. There comes a short but intense knock on the door. Feeling the urge to escape, David begins to search for alternative exits other than the door. He locates a window in the bathroom without railings, but it cannot be opened at all. Amy spots one blood-stained apple, the very apple she left in their car. However, it was not there when they just entered the room. Since then, Amy has not left the room. Confused and terrified by such a situation, they realize they have to escape the motel as soon as possible. David turns off all the indoor lights to hide in the dark. He also draws up the curtain to ensure no one is behind. And then they rush out together to the grove nearby. Unfortunately, they are soon blocked by two masked men. The couple have little choice but to return to the room and lock the door. As they observe, the two masked men vanish in the dark. The killers enjoy terrorizing David and Amy. Feeling lost at what to do, the payphone in the yard flashes through David's mind. Perhaps that can help him get the police. While Amy distracts the masked men by pretending to open the bathroom window, David secretly makes his way to the payphone. Finally, he gets to dial 911. But to his shock, the motel manager answers it. At the same time, David sees a car barging at him. He barely manages to escape the phone booth just before the men crash their car into it. David dashes back to the room and gets to know this is also part of their killing game. He realizes that turning off lights does not help. Whatever they do is laid bare before the eyes of killers. They have to fight their way out, but get no weapons. Then, David breaks the mirror and wraps the broken glass with a piece of towel. In the case of a danger, this would be his weapon for self-defense. They crouch in the corner side by side, counting on each other. Exhausted, Amy falls into a deep sleep. She wakes up to find David watching the videotapes. The killers quiet down as Amy rests. Perhaps they think that David and Amy have given up struggling. But David is hoping to get some clue from the snuff films. He blocks the camera that is facing the television and examines the movies. As expected, he discovers that the killers did not enter the room through the door, but via the bathroom. David is reminded of the blood-stained apple, which appears in the bathroom. He suspects there must be a hidden entrance in the bathroom. Covering the bathroom camera with a bath curtain, he begins searching for the secret pathway. A tunnel is found below the floor mat. At this moment, a light suddenly lit up outside. A truck pulls into the parking lot. The driver looks like some ordinary man stopping for a stayover. Amy can't wait to shout for help, but David stops her. Two masked killers with knives follow the truck driver. David and Amy try to warn the driver by banging against the windows and shouting at him. However, the driver continues walking in their direction without noticing anything. David is on the verge of rushing out to stop the driver, as he sees killers go near to him. Much to their surprise, manager comes out to meet the driver and hand over some videotapes to him. David realizes he is actually here to buy snuff films. Amy feels hopeless, but David devises a plan. While the four are chatting away their time, David leads Amy to escape into the tunnel in the bathroom. This narrow tunnel leads to every room in the motel. David and Amy end up in manager's office, where video monitors are set up to tape their room, and numerous videotapes stacked up on the shelf. Amy finds a telephone and dials 911, but is interrupted soon, before she can give the operator any useful information. As manager and two masked killers come back, the couple sneak back into the tunnel in a hurry. However, the misplaced receiver and footprints around the tunnel entrance reveal the couple's uninvited visit to the office. Moreover, the call to 911 is not hung up. In a fury, manager disconnects the telephone cord. Two killers are sent into the tunnel, each in a different direction, to get Amy and David. Luckily, David and Amy end up at the auto garage without surveillance. They overturn a shelf and put it on the trapdoor. Having been through so much, Amy almost breaks down. David cares for her. Their love revives in such a dire situation. They promise to spend the rest of their lives together if they survive. Here comes a police car that rekindles the hope for Amy. Fearing that this is another snuff film buyer, skeptical David continues to observe. This man turns out to be a sheriff's deputy, appearing to respond to Amy's call when manager lies that no one checks in recently. As the officer requests to search the room, manager quickly walks away, claiming that he needs to fetch the right key from the office. The officer tries the handle of the door. The door is not locked. He enters the room to find traces of a fight, broken television and lights. A dim light leads the officer to a connecting door. Through it, he comes to David and Amy's room. The broken glass, the tunnel entrance, snuff films playing on the television are all signals of danger. Sensing that, the officer carefully flees with his gun. By now, a killer has reached the trapdoor of the garage. He tries to push the shelf away, while David tries to stop him. Amy confirms that the officer is of help, so David and Amy run to him, and they all enter the police car. But the engine wire of the car has been cut. When the officer gets out to check under the hood, another killer shows up and kills him instantly. David and Amy flee into one of the other motel rooms. Manager is not in a rush to kill David and Amy. He enjoys torturing David and Amy so that he can have more substance to make snuff films. David ventures into the adjacent room, where there is no surveillance. He finds a safe spot up in the ceiling. While the three killers are busy covering up the officer's death, David smashes the glass and hangs a part of Amy's shirt on the window, making it look like Amy had already escaped from the window. He hides Amy inside the ceiling and tells her to keep silent at all times. David plans to get the revolver he saw in the office, but the killers surprise and stab him. To protect Amy, David crawls out from the room before he collapses. Manager comes to film David's last struggles with a handheld camera. After that, manager comes into the room. Seeing the piece of fabric hang in the window, he thinks Amy has fled. He leaves the room without further investigation. With much pain and sorrow, Amy endures till morning. She painstakingly comes down and rushes into the killer's car. Fortunately, the key is not pulled out. As she starts the car and drives away, a killer notices her. He breaks into the car from the sunroof, forcing her to stop the car. Meanwhile, another killer also appears. In her effort to fend him off while driving, she crashes the car into the motel, terminating the two killers immediately. But Amy is saved thanks to the airbag deployed. Amy then runs into the office to call 911. But she can't do it, as the telephone is without a cord. Just when she is about to reach the revolver on the shelf, Manager enters, knocks the revolver from Amy's hands, and attempts to strangle her with a phone cord. Manager takes the chance to lash out at Amy. Amy has no strength to fight back, and she groans in pain. Sadistic manager gladly films Amy's struggle. Unexpectedly, Amy kicks hard to smash his balls, and grabs the revolver to shoot him to death without any hesitation. Amy runs to David and cries over his death. However, David is still alive, and in serious need of help. He merely fainted last night, and escaped further torture by accident. Amy searches manager's corpse for the telephone cord, calls 911 again, and returns to comfort David. Thrilling and tragic though, that motel night has saved their broken marriage. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Bye.